Well, that was very fast. No sooner do I talk about the corporate toxicity that escaped containment due to Obsidian's art director behind Avowed and his hateful statements regarding race, do devs start to come forward to verify how bad things really are. According to another content creator, someone with insider information on the studio has said many of the things I would expect from a studio with internal issues are indeed happening. We'll put a link below to the video if you are questioning the validity of the source, perhaps a disgruntled employee with a bone to pick. Good. We need healthy skepticism. To be blunt, one of the key purposes of the gaming media is to keep corporations honest by questioning them on their bull. And one of the ways they maintain their own relevance is investigating themselves when they get fishy. And that is where they failed. They're called out on clear wrongdoing multiple times, and they buried the story and bashed anyone pointing out that the garbage they were spewing was in fact garbage. This is not a call to be distrustful, only to consider all information fairly. Blind faith only lasts until you open your eyes. Avowed is the sticker on top of the moldy banana. The studio known as Obsidian, much like BioWare, Blizzard, and many more, is not what we remember. The outer forces of corporatism, ideology, and tourist Karenism have completely chipped Obsidian away to nothingness. So why dwell on nothing? I like to look for the positive in everything. See if I can find something for us to smile about. And I think we have something good coming from this one. It is so good to see people speaking out. This emboldens whistleblowers to talk about the toxic rot in the industry. They have much to fear over blacklisting. And it is hard to go to journalists since so many journalists work for the AAA corporations. People really underestimate how dangerous it is to have the journalist watchdogs all be in lockstep behind the corporations are supposed to keep honest. Whistleblowing to a games media journalist is like filing an HR complaint with your name on it. So it is exceptionally important that we have content creators who can earn the trust that journalists used to have and squandered. Whistleblowers need to know that there is someone out there who can do many things for them. A trusted content creator is no simple task. They need to maintain trust. For that, they need to be able to properly vet their sources. They need to ensure the safety and anonymity of their sources at the highest level. They need to prove they will come forward with information in a way that satisfies both the whistleblowers and the target of the information, which is generally the gaming public. And we need to do something that journalists refuse to: keep them honest. This does not mean torching someone for a mistake, but it does mean questioning the questionable. It means retractions and coverage for errors and mistakes. Journalists closed ranks every time this decade they were called out for ethics violations. It has destroyed not just the unethical journalists, it ruined the trust of the entire games media. That is the reason it has completely collapsed. Content creators are full of varied personalities. We have many who seek to be trusted sources of news, while others rely on commentary and analysis, the yin and yang of objective journalism and subjective opinions. One relies heavily on honesty and integrity, the other on authenticity and relatability. There are a lot of developers out there who are suffering under a stifling regime of toxic positivity, being forced to play yes men to increasingly depraved and obnoxious doctrines, unable to fully do their job due to managers hovering over their shoulder and weaponized disciplinary departments, fearing both blacklisting if they ever question a horrible decision of a smug leader on one side of the scale, and on the other side of the scale, the inevitable layoffs when the gamer-hating development strategy that has failed the last dozen times, shock, it fails again. Developers need to be given a place to trust, where they can reveal problems that cannot be solved in the studio because bringing it up for discussion would get them fired. And devs need to know they are not alone. Recognize the power of a shattered illusion. The journalists lost control of their narratives and trust entirely this year. And people quickly realized, we are not crazy, we are not the ones who are abnormal for noticing everything wrong with gaming, and there's a problem when a dozen journalists copy-paste articles full of lies, yet have nothing to say when their lies are called out. Journalism has had a case of the boy called Wolf, except it's an entire town of boys calling Wolf, and the only day they're not going to call Wolf is the one day when the wolf arrives. Never let them gaslight you. They will try to convince you there is not a problem, so do not talk about it because you are the only one who thinks that way, because it is not a big deal. And when they do try to squirm their way out of what they've been doing for the last decade and all the damage they've caused, absolutely reject when they deflect the blame and claim it wasn't their fault. There was no bigger gaslight than convincing people we are alone. They spent a decade convincing everyone the Emperor has new clothes. But we've all known this entire time he's naked. Gamers spent this year saying he's naked. Developers, you know what is going on. You know what is happening in your studio. And now you know it is happening across the industry. So, is the naked Emperor naked? Blind faith only lasts until you open your eyes.